All right, hockey fans, how we doing? How's everybody doing? I hereby declare summer is over. That's it. All right. We've got about 6 weeks to the game start, give or take. Training camps open up in about a month. Here in Maryland, the leaves have already started to fall off the trees, and that's it. As soon as the leaves start falling, even if it's just two leaves, that's it. Summer's over and we're in the fall. So this video will be the beginning of the 22-23 NHL season. This is my seventh season. This is the beginning of my seventh year of covering hockey. Now, the first 5 years, I covered mainly just Florida Panthers. And then last year, I've added in a lot of NHL content. Big surprise coming here in about 2 weeks, a little bit more than 2 weeks, a huge expansion. I'm just going to leave it at that. You guys are going to be happy. Everybody's going to, it's going to be a very enjoyable expansion. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, real quick, my name is Eric. My friends call me Jaws. Fluffy is the dog. All right. All right. Now, what else we got? Okay. So today we're going to be predicting the 22-23 NHL season. Now, for those of you who have been fans of this channel, you kind of know what to expect. This will be my standalone video, but I'm going to have other collaborations where I go over things a little bit more in depth with a few other people. And those will be the videos where we kind of get into the intricacies of the actual hockey of things. This video is basically my annual. I kind of know what I'm talking about, but I kind of don't on certain things with certain teams. It's my gut feeling. It's what I think is going to happen. Okay. So the point there is that if you're looking for the guy who's spent 3 hours cramming over analytics to determine the wild card teams, that ain't me. All right. So without further ado, the last thing I'll say is that this year's prediction is going to be different. I've never done this before, so let's just get started. All right, I'm going to bring up the graphic for the Eastern Conference here. Let's see, here we go. Yeah, that looks good. Share this. Right. So there you go. As you can see in the Atlantic, I've got the Leafs, Panthers, and Lightning, Bruins, Senators, Wings, Sabres, Canadians. The Metro, I've got the Rangers, Canes, Pens, Islanders, Caps, Jackets, Devils, and Flyers. Now, you'll notice the little asterisks, and you will see that I actually have the Metro getting both wild cards this year and none from the Atlantic. So I'm going to just give a couple of reasons why I think that's going to be. Number one, I think the Leafs are going to be this year's Panthers. All right. Um, I believe with the talent that they have and the desperate desire to finally get past the first round, I think the Leafs will be this year's Panthers. Now, I'm not sitting here predicting an exact sweep in the second round, but I think that they will have the most points in the conference. We'll go there. Panthers and Lightning. I've got them 2-3. Obviously, those two could switch uh, just as easily as anything else. You know, the Panthers could end up in third, Lightning could end up in second. I know that there's a lot of questions about the Panthers moving forward in terms of all the changes that we had. The short of it, because I don't want to make this just a Panthers video, but the way I see it for the Panthers is with a new coach, probably, you know, a different defensive system, obviously, and new line mates. I don't think there will be one line that could be returning intact the way it was last year, especially with Duclair's injury. I think they're going to start slow. All right. So we'll just leave it at that. We'll get more in depth into the Panthers and a little bit later in the video and then in other videos. Now, okay, so my buddy Raven is going to want to know why I've got the Bruins missing the playoffs. And one thing I want to mention is I know that there's a lot of people that think the Senators could make a jump. I do believe the Senators are going to be close this year. But what was it? 73, 74 points they had last year, something like that. That's a big jump. The way I looked at it was if the Bruins if the Bruins fell by 15 points and the Senators were better by 15 points, the Bruins still had more points last year. So I do expect some drop off from Boston. I do expect Ottawa to get close. And I do believe that by the following season, you'll see Ottawa be the team there in the playoff spot. I'm not really sure if Ottawa can make that big of a jump. That has to do with some of the teams in the Metro. If you hear something, that's Fluffy snoring over here. Now, in the Metro, Rangers, Canes, Pens, Isles, Caps. Okay. And then obviously on the bottom there, the Jackets, Devils, and Flyers, flip flop. I think the Jackets are solid. Okay. Obviously, I don't think they're ready to be a playoff team just yet. In terms of the Devils and Flyers, I picked the Flyers to be last because I would just love to see a Tortorella coach team be in last place and the entertainment value of those press conferences. So it's just for that single reason, I picked Flyers to be last place. Now, the Capitals have some injury issues going into the season, right? Backstrom is out till January. Tom Wilson is out till sometime in December. So the Capitals are a team that could start slowly. And if that slow start is coupled with the Islanders having a quick start, there could be enough gas there for both of those teams to make the playoffs. And that's the other thing. Look, this is going to be close, and I will do points predictions later on. I didn't want to get that intricate and in depth here today, but I've picked the Islanders and Capitals to be the wild card teams. The Bruins and Senators are not going to be far behind, to be honest with you. Okay, I think it's going to be rock'em sock'em to the end there. I think some of those spots they may not be done and sealed up until after the final games are played. That's good for hockey. It's good for the league. I love it. But those are just the picks that I've made. Looking at the Islanders, look, they still have a lot of the players that were there when they made those the two conference finals in a row. Last year was obviously a down year. They had the whole thing with the starting the year on the road and everything like that. I still have no idea why they fired Trotz, but that's a completely different story. But just from the players on the ice, I think that they could make a move and bring themselves back up. But if they don't, that asterisk could easily go back to Boston. I think it's going to be really, really close between those teams. Now, are there any other teams that I'm looking at that I think could make the jump? Really, I don't believe so. I know the Jackets improved. The Senators have definitely improved, but I mean, the Senators were basically 28, 30 points behind the playoff spot last year. That's a big, big jump. And while I know a lot of people expect Boston to slide back down, I think they still had 107 points last year. I'm doing this all from memory. So they could knock down 10 points and still have be right there in the playoff race at the end. I don't think they're going to fall off that far. So that's what I'm going with in terms of the Eastern Conference and those subsequent playoff teams. I don't think you're going to see any surprises out of Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal, Columbus, New Jersey, or Philadelphia. I know the Wings are improved. I know the Sabres are looking to be improved, but that division is brutal. You have to play all those games against the Leafs, Panthers, and Lightning. And that's, and the same thing goes, for the Metro. I believe the Rangers are going to win that division just strictly because of goaltending. I know the Canes are still going to be right there, nip and tuck at the top. And the Penguins are an interesting thing. I'm picking them to be third because I just, until that team, I know they're getting older, but until they miss the playoffs, I think we're all picking them to make the playoffs. Now, last year, I picked them to be one of the teams that was on the bubble and maybe make or maybe not. But they proved They played better than I thought they would last year, so I'm not about to pick against them this year. And there's just not a lot. There's such a big gap between the best teams in the conference and the teams that are competing. Some of the lower place teams just aren't close to making that move. So that's what I've got for the Eastern Conference. Now we move on to the West. All right, let's see. All right. In the Central, I've got the Avalanche, Blues, Stars, and Wild, Predators, Jets, Coyotes, and Blackhawks. In the Pacific, I've got Flames, Oilers, Kings, Canucks, Sharks, Knights, Ducks, and the Kraken. Now, I'm just going to start right off the bat between the Canucks and the Predators. How I determined who was going to get the wild card, I literally had to flip a coin. That's so either one of those two teams to me seems to be the obvious pick for the last wild card spot. Minnesota, I've got them dropping down. I love Andre Fleury. How much is he going to have left in the tank? I know Luongo did okay, did pretty well at age 37, but that's the age. There's only so much gas that's going to be left in the tank. And don't get me wrong, I love Fleury. That's why I picked the Knights to be so out of it, because the Knights are in karma hell. Okay. In fact, it's one of the earlier NHL videos I made was I was pissed off about the Knights just shoving Fleury out the door, and now karma really's got him now, because obviously with Robin Leonard being out through the entire year, they don't have a goalie and they don't have the money to go get a goalie. So good luck to them. And I think I speak for a lot of NHL fans when I say we're all fine with the Knights taking a step back and not making the playoffs. Now, in terms of the conference itself, Flames, to me, I think are going to win that. Be the top seed, be the number one seed. Obviously, as a Panther fan, I know what they were able to do. Completely going to be a different team, obviously, right? You rarely see a team that loses 2 stars and gets one in return and then gets another in return, and then they just signed Kadri. So the Flames look pretty good there. Now, the Avalanche, I don't think they're going to take any steps back. I know that they got rid of Kemper, but that team is just too good to fall off anyway, in my opinion. And then, the Blues and Stars in second and third, and the Oilers and Kings in second and third. Again, kind of like the Panthers and Lightning, you could flip-flop those two teams either way. It's not going to be a big surprise if it ends up 2-3 the other way. All those teams are pretty well set and evenly matched. And in some ways, the West is a lot like the East in terms that, the teams on the bottom, Winnipeg, the Coyotes, the Blackhawks, the Kraken, the Ducks, to some extent, the Sharks, and I'll talk about that in a second. Those lower tier teams are just not really close to being, to really being able to take a jump. It could happen. Now, I've put the Sharks there in front of the Knights for 2 reasons, because screw Vegas for screwing Fleury, and my buddy Nick at Twisted Wrister, as a Sharks fan, not sure where he put the Sharks in his preview, but I'm not really sure they're ready to make the jump to the playoffs just yet. But obviously, who knows how far away from the Canucks they'll be. Now, in terms of over here in the Central, when I went between the Predators and Canucks, again, I had to flip a coin. If the Wild, let's put it this way, if the Wild's goaltending situation doesn't pan out, Predators could be a team that could make that jump, and you could see a swap there. So, keep in mind, these are predictions. This is August, but I don't really see any massive surprises here either. I know there may be some people that would be surprised if the Canucks made it. A lot of this is going to come down to, the start of the season. You know what I mean? If teams get off to a quicker start, we've all seen it where, a team, if you get 6 points, 8 points out of a spot, it's not impossible, but it's really, really difficult to overcome that and make the playoffs. So the start for a lot of these teams, I think, in terms of Minnesota, Nashville, and Vancouver, especially, I think those three teams going to need to get off the hot starts, or because most likely one of them is going to be on the outs if they don't get off to a good start. All right, let's go to. I didn't go crazy with playoff matches. I did what I think for the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals are going to be. And this is where I'm probably going to lose some people, but that's okay. I need to clarify here before. I've never this is not what I've done in the past. There we go. Eastern Conference Finals. I have the Rangers versus the Panthers, and I hear you. You already paused the video, and you guys are typing out. I'm only picking the Panthers because I'm the Panthers guy. No, I'm gonna get to that. Give me a minute. Western Conference Finals, Avalanche versus Flames. If it's not Colorado versus Calgary, um, something happened. Okay, we'll just put it that way. If those two teams are not in the Western Conference Finals, somebody who was a favorite lost. That seems to me to be an easy pick. Now, in terms of the Rangers versus the Panthers, the Rangers, obviously, easy pick. What do I think, and why am I putting the Panthers this far? Well, I'm going to shorten it because I don't want this to be a full-on Panthers video. But if you guys who've been with this channel long enough, you guys know I have a pretty good track record with laying things out. I think how it's going to go, okay, during the season. I believe we're going to start off slow. I believe the Panthers are going to start off slow. We've got the new coach. We've got new personnel, new defensive system, I'm sure. Okay. Maurice is going to be having to get used to who's playing with who, the time, the minutes. Like somebody said in a comment, we still have to replace Uyghur's minutes, right? He was a workhorse. He played a lot of minutes. So even if Forsling does the job, can he keep up that many minutes, or is Maurice going to even out the playing time a little bit? So I do believe we will start slow. So I'm saying that in preface now, so that after 20 games, we're 11, 6, and 3. It doesn't look great. Don't come slam dunking me yet, because we're going to start slow. But I do believe that, remember, Paul Maurice has a history of doing really well in his first year with new teams. So I do believe that is going to hold. As the season goes on, we are going to get consistently better. The talent is still there. All right. If you can look past, and this is the last thing I'll say because I don't want to belabor the point, but if you look past the argument of, did we give up too much to get Tkachuk? If you look past that, and even if you just wanted to say that Huberdeau and Tkachuk are going to give us even production for the next however many years that Huberdeau would have, we still only gave up Uyghur a first and Schwint to make, quote, Huberdeau 5 years younger. All right. In terms of production on the ice, he's going to be at least even, in my opinion, probably more goals and less assists. Now, one thing that I think that's going to happen is I do believe that this move, the move of getting rid of Huberdeau, we've been saying it here for a long time in Pantherland. Somebody, something, please do something, say something that will get Barkov to take that next step and be angry, pissed off, energetic, intense in the playoffs. I believe two things. I believe the sweep to a lesser extent, but I believe the fact that they just up and traded Huberdeau and didn't even tell him until after the fact he found out from a text on from a friend in the following morning. I believe that is going to light the fire under Alexander Barkov's ass. That's my take, and I'm sticking to it. And I will say that if it doesn't, nothing ever will. Okay, I'll say that. But I believe this is going to, in some way, I believe it's going to actually solidify him as the captain and cause him to have a change in his approach to things. And I believe that as the season goes on, I think this team is going to gel. I trust what Zito's done. So that's my take. Now, for those of you who are new to the channel, you're probably thinking I'm only saying that because I'm the Panthers guy. Last year was the furthest I ever picked the Panthers to go, and I picked us to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. Obviously, I was wrong, but I've never picked us to go any further than that. So this is what I have here. And in terms of the Western Conference, again, that seems to be like a gimme to me. I mean, anything can happen in the playoffs, but those two teams on paper should be in the Western Conference Finals. In the East, I believe the Rangers, you can kind of pencil them in. Now, obviously, I'm not so much of a homer that I don't recognize that the Leafs could be there, the Lightning could be there, the Canes could be there, right? There's a lot of teams that could manage this. I just have a belief of the way the playoffs in the season are going to go, so I'm picking the Panthers. Now, I got to have a drink before I go to this next slide. All right. You all know what's coming. You all know what's coming, so I may as well just click the button. Yep. I'm saying it. And I'm saying it, and I'm going to say why. Now, at this point, this is alluding to the beginning of the video where I said I'm using my gut and I'm going by how I feel the season is going to play out. This storyline of Calgary versus Florida in the finals is too good to not happen. Don't forget Jacob Markstrom. All right. I mean, the whole thing with Markstrom, we're trading him away to get Luongo back and having to sign Bobrovsky because Luongo was retiring. That's just the storyline here is too good. It's too good. You have a blockbuster trade where both fan bases are saying, I won the trade, etc., etc. This is the Stanley Cup Finals we all want. Okay, let's put it out there. Well, except for Leaf fans. All right, let's just be honest. This would be such a monumental story for the league. It would be so good for viewership. This is the series. That's the series we want. Now, just get to it, Jaws, right? We all know what you did. I said I've never done it before. I'm just going to leave that up there. Now, why, Jaws? Why? Well, first of all, you can't say I'm jinxing the Panthers because I've never done it before and we haven't won. Okay, so we'll start there. Now, number two, on the ice. Let's just play pretend imaginary land here and say that series happened. Calgary and Florida. Why do I believe on the ice the Panthers would win? Well, because I trust the Chuck to be pissed off and more motivated to win than Jonathan Huberdeau. That's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing. And I know, and for the Flames fans, you've paused the video, you're typing me out comments. I get that. All right. This is not, and I know how this is not a homer pick. This is a gut feeling pick. All right. There's a difference. Okay. You can go back and watch all my years of videos. Mostly I bitch and complain about the team. I'm not the guy that predicts my Panthers to win every year. I've never predicted anything like this before. But this storyline between the two teams, okay, and it just, look, I predicted the damn trade. I'll just throw it out there. Okay. And when I predicted that trade, it was just a gut feeling. When I go with just what my gut is telling me is going to happen, I get it right a lot. Go back into the comments last year during the live streams when I'm picking scores to games. If I don't get the score right, I'm getting the number of goals. It's a thing. I'm not guaranteeing that that's what's happening here, but I've been thinking about this for a week, and I've been waiting to get some other kind of feeling. And I know that hockey wise on the ice, there's a lot of people that are gonna poo poo this, right? Now, the one thing I will say though is that when the Panthers got swept, and a lot of us were saying, we're never going to win with Barkov. We're never going to win with these guys, et cetera, et cetera. I got a lot of comments from other fan bases who say, hey, look, that's what they said about Stamkos. That's what they said about Ovechkin. You see what I'm saying? So there were a lot of other fans from other teams thinking, these guys can still get it done. Now, I know Huberdeau's gone. We've replaced him with Kachuk. I believe it's going to be a better dynamic. I think we're going to have caught lightning in a bottle with Bobrovsky still at a good enough spot in his career, with Spencer Knight filling in the gaps, pissed off Barkov, motivated Kachuk, with just the right chemistry from the guys that Zito has found, coupled with Paul Maurice having clearly the best team on paper that he's ever had. And go look, because somebody else pointed this out to me when I was making the video about Paul Maurice as coach when we hired him. Go look at Trott's record and put it side by side with Maurice's record. And the only real difference is the one cup. But there was like 20 years of not winning. And then Trotz won. And now Maurice is right about that same point where Trotz was when he won. So I'm just looking at it not from I'm looking at it from more of the point of view of what's going to be happening on the ice. And I tend to do that a lot. And like I said, we're going to have other videos, and there'll be other people, and they're going to have a couple collaborations, and I'm sure I'm the only one. Last year, a lot of people picked the Panthers to win the cup or at least go to the finals. I didn't pick us. I picked us to go to the conference finals, and I picked actually the Islanders, if you want to know the truth. So, but that last year I tried too hard. I did too much research. I looked at it too much, and I didn't go with what I really felt was going to happen. And so that's what I'm going with this year. So yeah, I know the look. I'm the Panther guy picking the Panthers, but I'm sticking to it. And like I said, I'll close with this. We're going to start slow. So please do us all a favor. 20 games in, don't be coming on and talking about how wrong I was. Now, if we're 3-13-6 or 7, whatever, then you could probably give me some smack, okay? But we could look like we're going to barely eke out a wild card spot those first 20-25 games. All right. But as the season goes on, I just believe it's just going to all come together at the right time. All right. This is kind of what happens in sports. You have things happen over the course of a number of years, and then all of a sudden, all the things that have happened, they just sort of mesh at the right time. And I believe that that's what's going to happen for the Panthers this year. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing this. All right. That's the video. That's the pick. I'm curious to see what you guys think. I doubt there'll be many of you that agree with me, and that's okay. I mean, let's face it. A couple people call me crazy for thinking, Huberdeau Weegar, a prospect and a pick for Kachuk, and we see how that turned out. So I'm interested. I'm ready to go. You know what I mean? It's August 23rd, and man, I wish it was September 23rd. So, but that's it. I'm gonna have videos out every day now, unless something happens with my health. And then next week, Stu and I are gonna be back. We were gonna start this week, but I've got a little bit of tonsillitis. I've been fighting that off, and Stu and I had a couple things come up. So next week we're gonna start this series where last year I started it, and then Stu and I, that's when Stu and I started working together. The series on each individual player, how they can improve, what we can expect. We're gonna do the new players as well. I think we're gonna start with Bob to get that one out of the way because that one's probably the easiest one to do. So that's gonna probably most likely be starting up on Monday, and then that's it. We're ready to go. And I'm ready to go. You're ready to go. I hope I'm right. I hope I'm right. Boy, I set myself up. I set myself up if I'm wrong, but that's okay. That's all right. Appreciate all the support. I'll see you guys again real soon.